Yes. It is the Castworthy podcast, and we are back. It's a two-man game today. Uh, EJ is out, doing some dastardly stuff. And he says it's his allergies, but we know what allergies means, right? That's what they're calling it
AKA.
nowadays. Right. All her genes. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine, joined by VP today. Quick fast break for you. It's Memorial Day weekend, May 29th, Sunday. And we're here, man. What's up, man? I missed you guys last week. I was on a little hiatus. Saw you guys had a pretty good pod. Some points where I wanted to hop in as I was listening.
That's how it be when I'm off. I be listening. I'm
Yeah,
like, damn, if I was there, I would have
lit.
said this.
Yeah. There was a whole heap of Miami Heat dick riding that took place last week for y'all.
Oh yeah, man.
That was
Yo, shout
interesting.
out to Jimmy Butler, yo. My goodness. But before we get in that, man, glad you're back. How was the trip, man? Let the folks know.
It was good, man. I went out to New Orleans. It was I mean, if you haven't been to New Orleans, it's phenomenal. Like I was there. I went from Thursday to Sunday, and the music is great, art is great, the food is great, everything is close by. Now I see what people mean by like southern hospitality. Like, you know what I'm saying? We live in Orlando, which is not really southern.
Right.
Um but yeah, like them people they're different over there. Like everybody kind of gets along. I'm sure there's crime and shit like that, but like in the touristy area, like, you know, a lot of times when you go to the touristy area specifically, like I know here and stuff, when you see the goons around, they probably plotting. You know what I'm saying? For me, I'm like, oh, there's goons. And then they just start dancing and shit. And you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
with the tourists, because somebody pops up with like a speaker and a saxophone and starts playing music, and you got these goons that start dancing, and they dancing with the white tourists, the Europeans and shit. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I see what this is, man. Um,
So you looking like somebody about to get robbed, and then like a whole vibe breaks out.
right, right. Exactly. It's like a flash mob. I'm like, yo, look at this is the craziest flash mob I've ever seen. This dude got gold teeth and dreads. She got on Birkenstocks. Like, it's crazy. It's just a mix. Oil and water, man, and it works out.
Hmm.
But everybody's happy, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I guess, so I guess they have legalized marijuana, right? So people are just walking down the street
I
puffing,
didn't know that.
right? And then you got everybody drinking. Obviously, it's New
Yeah.
Orleans. Um, and so I guess everybody just vibes, it's a vibe, man. They and the food is really good. There's a casino there, so that's good. They also do sports betting, so I had a good weekend on that as well. But it's definitely, if you haven't been, man, definitely worth it. You get to see, I mean, a lot of the architecture is old. A lot of buildings are still abandoned and shit. And they're afraid to touch them because of the mold and the asbestos that's in them. They don't want to,
Hmm.
like, there's a 8,000 square foot building out there, like in the heart of everything.
Hmm.
Huge building that somebody could be making mega fucking bucks off of, and it's for sale right now for 500,000. But nobody wants to touch it because it's like overcome with fucking black mold and asbestos.
Damn.
And yeah, and the city won't allow somebody to knock it down until they clear it all out. So I guess, the cost to try and clear that shit out of that large building is crazy.
I could imagine. Like I be watching those like those house flipping shows on HGTV,
Hmm.
and they'll like mold in a house be like 10 grand to
Right.
remediate. So I could imagine what it's like in a fucking building.
Right. And they're like, listen, so the tour, when we went on the little tour, it was like, people ask about it all the time. And because it's like right by it's close to like the Superdome. So there's
Hmm.
money to be made there. You could turn that into a hotel, whatever. But nah, they're like, the city, or maybe it's the state, government officials are like, listen, before anyone can do anything with it, they got to clear out the asbestos 100%. It has to pass that, and it has to pass the mold.
Mm.
So, but yeah, it's cool, man. There's a lot of culture there, a lot of art just on the side of buildings, some dope shit. It was a really, really good experience. I will absolutely go back probably sooner than later.
Did
I
you
recommend it.
did you like try all the shit, the po' boys, the beignets, the crawfish,
Yes, yes, I absolutely did. So, and that's the other thing. There's a lot of like little fucking mom and pop spots, and everyone does things. So I had I went to Acme Oysters, which is a big place out there, and I had some charboiled oysters that they do. That was like the highlight of the trip.
Mm.
Fucking amazing. Their raw ones were good too, but their charboiled with like butter and it's fucking crazy. It was great. Tried a muffalata, which is like a sandwich basically, but some specialty shit.
Yo,
It was
when you
good.
said that name, I definitely thought that was a drink. Like I I 100% thought that was a drink.
Nope. No, muffalata. It's like it's a bunch of different meats and shit on a sandwich. It was really, really good, man.
Mm.
Then what else? I didn't have a po' boy. I wish I did. I missed that. I did have some crawfish. But yeah, man, I recommend it for anybody. It's there's a lot of history out there, a lot of art, a bunch of different districts, like a gardening district, and shopping and stuff like that. Um, I forget there's a huge cathedral church that I walked into, and like you and I were pretty similar in the sense of religion and stuff.
Hmm.
And we went in and they were doing mass and shit, and I don't want to say I felt anything. Like, don't let me say that. But it was a dope ass building. Like the
Yeah.
ceiling is painted up real nice. Like inside the church was painted up real nice. Like it was a really, really, really nice church. Something to see. And it was in this. I forget what the place is called, but it's like in the French Quarter. It's a square,
Hmm.
where they do a bunch of art. There's a bunch of local artists that just pop up, and you can buy art. I also went to Cafe Du Monde, and I had the beignets from there, and that was phenomenal. So that was good. But yeah, I recommend it for anybody, man. If you're looking for a quick trip, just something to do, just relax and chill. Things are close by, so we did a lot of walking. You could walk to a lot of places. Ubers are pretty quick because it's close by. Um, and then they have a hop on, hop off, like trolley bus type of thing that does
Yeah.
tours and stuff. 19 stops, and most of the tourist areas you can hop on, hop off at one of them, and then when you finish shopping or eating or whatever, jump back on and go to the next spot. They got it set up pretty dope, man. Um, it's dirty as shit, and that's the other side of it. It's dirty. Lots of homeless, like the homeless. There's a lot of homeless people out there, and alcoholics and shit, and
Yeah.
probably artists and musicians that didn't make it that kind of just stayed. And it's humbling, and it makes you kind of remember reality. We live in Orlando, and while we have panhandlers and stuff, not like that. Like these motherfuckers are just sprawled out in the middle of the sidewalk, like not
Hmm.
like off to the side. Like I'm talking, you're walking and you might have to change your direction and go around somebody that's laid out,
Wow.
homeless. And it's sad. And then we went out to Bourbon Street. Obviously, Bourbon is a big one, and we went on Thursday night. And when we got there, and it was just sad, man, because even though there was a bunch of kids out there, right? They were young kids, probably ranging from like 7 to 15, right? And they're out there playing drums on drums or playing drums on buckets and stuff,
Yeah.
right? And it was dope. Don't get me wrong. They were excellent. They were really, really good. I posted some of it online, and we tipped them up real nice. And I'm sure they were making good money. I can tell you they
Hmm.
were. But still, just thinking the fact that you got to have your kid on a school night go out and drum on buckets and perform in the street to make it, you know, is, it was just like it was just sad, man. Like those
Mm,
kids should have been and great, granted they could be doing a lot worse, be selling drugs, they could be doing whatever, right?
right.
So that's the silver lining to it, but it was just still sad. Like I couldn't see myself having to pimp my kid, and some of them are out there with adults that were, the adults are kind of like their manager or whatever, making sure that they don't get taken advantage of, no one robs them and shit.
Yeah.
But on a Thursday night, you got a 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid out there dancing in the street and you know banging on buckets like this. It was sad, man. But it was good to see that they were getting, like, people were tipping them real nicely. Like, their buckets were half full, 20s and shit. So they were making some good money.
Nice. Nice. That's cool, man. Glad y'all enjoyed it, man. Now, let me ask you this about it. Because people always say like, "Oh, this is a place you should go." Like people, like it's so great. People should definitely check it out. Or whatever. How do you feel it was for somebody like me? I mean, it's in America, so I'm they got to
Mhm,
deal with the Americans with Disability Act and things like
mhm.
that. So, but do you feel like it's rollable?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, honestly, for you, I think the biggest piece would be um two parts, right? One is somebody going to be willing to, because like I told you, everything's close, so you
Hmm.
can get to it if someone's willing to push you, or if you have an electric wheelchair, it'll be fine, right? Because everything is first floor, restaurants, everything. There's hardly anything. Even the casino is low, and it's below sea level and stuff, which is weird that everything is low like that because I guess that's how Katrina happened.
Yeah,
Um, but so I guess that would be the piece to it. Like how would you get around now? Alternatively, right, you can still hop in, the car and drive around and park and stuff, but parking is expensive, which is kind of why we were doing a lot of walking. So I think the biggest piece for you would be getting around. And is someone gonna push, or are you able to kind of sustain the amount of uh arm strength it's going to need to keep yourself going? But it's not hilly, it's not like it's good. Like you can make it, you'd be fine, you'd be absolutely
gotcha.
fine. It's
Okay.
but I recommend it. I absolutely recommend it. Lots of museums, jazz museum. Dude, I took a picture of it and I was gonna post it. The house where, or the building where Lee Harvey Oswald lived before he went and
Uh,
did his thing. Yeah,
okay.
they've turned it into a Popeyes. The first floor is a Popeyes now. Shocker, Popeyes Louisiana chicken. Uh,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, that's what the first floor is now. So I saw that, but
Wow.
there's a lot of stuff. I went to the you know what else is out there? The Two museum, World War II museum. It's a big ass campus now. When I went
Hmm.
on a tour, they were saying it started off small, like one or two buildings. Now it's like it's huge, like span of a bunch of blocks where you can go in and you know go see stuff. We didn't get to it, but it looked like it was cool. Archie Manning has a restaurant out there.
Okay.
Drew Brees has a spot out there. It's cool, man. It was cool.
That's
It
nice.
was cool. And it's crazy too because it's like you see like these rich businessmen in suits, just kind of walking through the streets. And again, this is what I say, it's just it's weird. They're walking side by side, arm in arm to a goon that's out there walking smoking weed. Like it's
Damn.
crazy. It's crazy, man. Um Nothing like I've ever seen. Even in like New York, it's not as blended like that.
Yeah.
So, and everyone's just chilling. But definitely a good experience, man. I'll be going back probably within the next few months, as long as there's not a hurricane coming.
Cool. Well, glad
No,
y'all had fun, man.
no titties though. No titties. Because it wasn't Mardi Gras, and apparently, unless it's actually Mardi Gras, people don't really be taking part in that,
No.
which is fine. And but they do have some adult entertainment facilities, which we chose not to partake in. We spent more time, casino and eating and drinking and chilling.
Got you. Cops like it's not Mardi Gras, so we actually enforce the public indecency laws.
Right, right, yeah. Uh, Definitely get there, man. If you get a chance, I suggest it. And I flew Spirit.
Mm,
Um,
how was that?
and I gotta give Spirit, some kudos, some shout outs, right? They don't have TVs, which I think everybody knows that. But I knew I was in the Spirit what is it, waiting area or whatever you call it, at a Spirit gate, because as I'm walking up, I'm like, oh, okay, let's see, where's my gate? I turn to the right. Bonnets everywhere. I'm like, oh, that must be my gate. Um, so the hood was definitely in there. And as we were taking off, like how you old car like sputters,
Hmm.
like it was like I'm like, oh, we're dead. We're not gonna make it.
Oh
Um,
man.
so I don't know what kind of engines they have or what it is, but this was on both of them. The takeoff was really, really like sketchy,
Mm,
but the rest of the flight was clean. The rest of the flight was good. There wasn't no problems or anything like that. But the takeoff was rough. It was
gotcha.
rough.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, man.
And they nickel
Yeah.
and dime you, no snacks, no water, no nothing. Like you got to
Yep.
pay for it, you know. But it was a short flight. I would assume that the longer flights are probably where people have problems. But from here
Yeah.
to New Orleans, it was like an hour and 20
Yeah.
minutes, quick
That's
flight.
that's what I told my wife when she flew on Spirit to go down to her grandmother's funeral, but it was in Miami. I was like, it's going to be like a 45-minute flight. So,
Yeah.
even though the airline sucked, it shouldn't be that bad. Before you even can get comfortable to take a nap, you're going to be there already. So,
Yep. Yep. I don't
so
even think you reach cruising altitude when you're going to Miami, because we flew to Miami once on the
mhm.
way to I forget where, but our layover was Miami, and
Yeah,
it was like we went up, and as we finished like the takeoff, it was like, all right, we're gonna start our initial descent. Like,
right.
what?
That's how I
What is
felt.
this?
When I was still in the military, I was flying back to North Carolina, and I flew from Fort Lauderdale. We had a layover in Tampa, and then to North Carolina. And that flight from Miami to Tampa, I mean, you know, I felt like they had just turned the seatbelt sign off, and then it was like, "Ding, we're coming in for our final approach." I'm like, we just got in
Yeah.
the air. Like,
Yeah, turn off all devices. I'm like, bitch, I just got 10 minutes into my show. You telling me turn my phone off?
so yeah, that's
It
cool.
was
That's
cool.
dope, man. I definitely it's definitely a place I want to go. Like I told you in pre-production, I've been to New Orleans technically, but I
Sort of.
haven't actually
Yeah.
been there. So it's one of those places I want to go.
Yeah, I think it's someplace I liked it so much. I think I could probably go there annually, probably 2, 3 times a year.
Yeah, that's
Like, and I
cool,
don't
man.
think I'll get tired of it. It was because like I told you also, you could sit down. It's like other vacations when you plan something, when you're going to this show, what you're getting, and then if you come 6 months from now and that show is there, it's the same show,
Yeah,
right? But for us, we went down to the square one day, and there was a dude out there singing, and he was nice with it, and he had a speaker and everything. And then the next day, we were waiting for at Cafe Du Monde for down by the square, same area, and dude brought out a keyboard and some other instruments and
same
shit.
guy.
No, different guy.
Oh, okay.
Different guy. So you get a different show. We went to the same breakfast spot twice, and both times two different people, kind of popped up and just started performing, because people go out there and they know that they can make money out there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They just put out a bucket. And now it's crazy how advanced it is. Like, now people are taking tips on Cash App.
Damn.
So on the side of the bucket, people got their little square scan thing or
Yeah. The
whatever. I
the
forget
the
what it's
QR
called.
code.
QR, yeah, QR scanner for their Cash App and all their other apps. So people out there making it,
Damn.
People are out there making it, man. It's cool, man. Definitely
That's
worth it.
nice. That's nice. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Glad y'all enjoyed it, man. Glad y'all enjoyed it.
What you been up to?
Not much, man. Just
Stressing
it's
these heat?
yeah, the playoffs. This the shit that's going on in the country, the news. It's just Just been
Yeah.
stressful. So
Yeah, we got a lot to get to today, even though there's only two of us. EJ's gonna miss a good show, man. I want to get to we're gonna spend some time some time on Texas. Um, but we got some stuff to talk about. You got any plans Memorial Day weekend? You guys got any plans for the weekend at all?
nah, we actually just gonna chill, man. We just gonna chill. My wife went out to that farm today, like I told you. That's kind of like her zen spot. So she couldn't
Hmm.
wait to get out there. They're doing peaches today, so she's gonna get
Have
some
you been
peaches.
with her at all?
Nah, I haven't. I assume
Yeah,
it's a farm, so it's probably not,
right. I was gonna say it's gonna
wheelchair
be.
accessible.
You
So
have to, you know what you have to do. I'm sure they sell them too. You have to get one of them wheelchairs with the like the big tires.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like they put on the wagons for kids or on the big bikes for the beach and shit.
yeah.
That's what you got. You gotta get one of them motherfuckers because that place is nice, man. Southern Hill Farms, I think is what it's
Hmm.
called. They got really, it's nice. It's just a real nice atmosphere to chill out there, naturey. She probably, if she has allergies, she gonna come out fucked up because they always got stuff in bloom over there. But it's a dope
Yeah,
spot.
yeah. So she's going over there. I told her to bring me back one of those blueberry lemonades I keep hearing about that they make fresh from the blueberries off the farm.
Mm,
So
yeah,
I told her just don't put no ice in it and just bring it back, and I'll put some ice in it when I get here when it gets here, so I can try it out. But
they make one with alcohol too.
mm,
If
yeah,
she brings some donuts back, let me know. I'll buy some of them shits. Them blueberry, or the muffin. Man, you
yeah,
know what? I gotta go. We haven't been in a little bit, but I like it out there. It's dope.
yeah. So, but other than that, man, like I said, we're just chilling, watching and waiting for the game tonight, and just watch a TV, shit like that. Nothing.
depending depending how that game ends is how the rest of the weekend goes.
Hey, maybe because as a fan, I had to watch, but I was, like my whole thing was I felt like we could beat Boston, but we're not healthy, and you could see that in Game 4 and Game 5, like
Mhm.
like I think Jimmy Butler in Game 4 and Game 5 scored a combined 21 points. Like he don't look like himself, whatever's happening with that knee. And then yesterday or Friday, that he just goes off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I heard afterwards he got a couple shots in the knee, and
right,
so that's what happened or whatever. So we'll see what happens tonight, man. Hopefully he's getting a shot again. So
right. Yeah, you know, it's like I forget which coach said it, but I think it was Steve Kerr. Was it Steve Kerr that said at this time of year everybody's hurt?
hmm
Some years ago, a couple years ago.
yeah,
It's the truth, man. So everybody is dealing with something, some type of ailment. But when you're a team like you guys, who you really only have truly one star, like
yeah,
you have really good role players, Adebayo, Hero. These guys are good role players, and maybe top of the line role players. But star wise, you only got one. You
yeah,
know, where they have two in Jalen Brown and Tatum, who are one, they're younger.
yeah,
Um, Tatum's dealing with a leg issue, but probably not nearly. You could tell it's not as bad as Jimmy Butler. Brown is
hmm
fairly healthy, and then they also have a really good vet in Al Horford,
yeah.
who is healthy and just playing out of his mind right now. So
And Marcus Smart ain't no slouch either.
that too. He's hurt, but he's been,
Right.
yeah, he's again defense and he's been playing assists. He's becoming a really really good player. So it's tough. It's definitely an uphill battle for Miami tonight. One night you guys won me some money while I was in New Orleans, and then the next night that I came back, you lost me some money. So I was unhappy about that. But I called Golden State from the West, so that pick is still there.
Yeah.
And I honestly, man, I don't think it matters who gets against those guys. They are just playing. They're playing. They're Golden State. They're playing Golden
Yeah.
State basketball, man. It's going to take an act of Congress, and as we've seen, those acts are not easy
Yeah.
lately.
Those guys are
For
good, man.
someone to beat those guys this year.
And I saw a clip that somebody posted of Steph last year when they didn't make the playoffs, saying, "Watch out for us next year."
Yeah,
Like we're gonna be dangerous. So, and
he,
I'm like,
he's he said that, and he said specifically it was after they lost to Memphis in the play-in. He was like, "It's all right. They're gonna have to see us next year."
hmm
So Now they're healthy too, right? And you got Draymond Green. He went out and he was like, earlier on the playoffs, he was like, listen, not every he said some of your favorite players are not playoff ready players. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Some of your favorite players and the best players are not playoff players.
Mm-hmm.
And he's right, because Draymond during the season, he was there. Like, you knew he was there, but it was like, all right, Draymond's on Golden State. But in the playoffs, it's like he's got an on off switch.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know. And it gets tough because you got, Steph is Steph. And he's gonna hit at some point, even if he starts off cold. And what happens is, if he starts off cold, you got Klay Thompson that can hold him up, and
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins, who remembered he was a number one overall pick. Like, out of nowhere, this dude's been shit for the bulk of his career,
Mm-hmm.
and now playoff time, he remembered that that he's actually a top pick. So
Yeah. And I saw uh Kendrick Perkins say something similar to that Draymond quote, and he was like, he was like, some dudes, he was like, especially as like him being a former player, he was like, these people, you see him in the locker room. He's like, it's some dudes who they're here like for the money, the stuff that comes along with the money, and things like that, and they don't really necessarily care about the game. And he was kind of talking, they were the context of what he was talking about was when they were talking about like what the hell happened to James Harden, you know. And he was like, his other dudes who they go out there and they put in work, and they're trying to win championships, and with that kind of work ethic and stuff like that, it brings the money and all the other stuff, etc. And then he referenced Jimmy Butler and was like, you look at Jimmy Butler averaging 21 points in the regular season, averaging 29 in the playoffs. He was like, that's what star players are supposed to do, where James Harden seems to be going in reverse or whatever. But, to the overall point of Draymond quotes, it's absolutely right. Like, some of these dudes, they're not playoff players. They don't elevate themselves to the next level of play when they get into the playoffs. It's kind of like, oh shit, we made the playoffs. I got to start my vacation late now, you know?
right,
So,
exactly. I booked the Bahamas up for these 2 weeks.
so we'll see, man. But I'm hopeful for tonight. Again, health is going to be a factor. I don't know if they're going to give Jimmy Butler another shot. Tyler Hero's talking about trying to play, which I'm worried about him because he's been saying he can go the whole time, and it's the medical staff who's saying no. Um, so I don't want him to get out there. If he can play, let him play. It's playoffs, but
Right.
I don't want him to injure himself further. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. You guys have home court, so that's bonus. You get home cooking and shit like that. You could probably
Yeah.
turn the AC off in there in their locker room, like this type of shit people do. Um, and but still, they've got Boston as the favorite.
Yeah.
As expected.
Mm-hmm.
Not a huge swing. Just some of the lines here. They have Boston a favorite by 2.5 points right now. With an over under of 198.5 for the game. And Miami's plus 116 on the money line. So definitely some money to be made there if
Yeah.
anyone feels comfortable with betting on Miami. I would like to see, in order, like, I think if you guys are gonna win tonight, like, Kyle Lowry has to remember that he's a basketball player. Like,
Right.
he can't score 0 points. Like,
Right.
this is fucking crunch time. Game 7, to go to the NBA finals. People been screaming all your career while you were in Toronto that you were trash and you disappeared. Kawhi goes out there, steals your shine, gets the ring, becomes the mayor of Toronto. You come down to Miami and forget how to play basketball. Kyle Lowry has got to step up,
Yeah.
and he's got to get 17 tonight at least. I think he's got to go 17-5 at minimum, get some assists for you guys, maybe 3 rebounds, make some big plays. So that Jimmy Butler doesn't have to score damn near 50 for you guys still to just barely win a game. Like,
Right.
because otherwise, you got Tatum. We just talked about it. Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You got to hope one of those guys are off. And Jaylen Brown hasn't been off all playoffs. Like, this guy's been hot. So
Yeah.
you need Tatum to have one of them 10-point, 15-point games. And Bam's got to he's got to get big, man. Maybe maybe Deadman has to get in there and bang pause Al Horford a little bit. Get him off
I,
the block or Robert Williams.
I've been saying that when we're watching the games, like we need to get Dedman in there, just for some size, but it seems like Dedman's not really a scorer. It seems like Spoelstra
Mhm.
is like, because of so much being on Jimmy, he's trying to have nothing but scores in the game, and mostly perimeter shooters at that, because that guy Robert Williams is just, I mean, you can't get anything in the paint with this guy. I mean, shit, you
Right.
could barely shoot threes with him. He's blocking shots like from the paint out to the 3-point line in like one step. You know.
He reminds me of Kenneth Faried from a couple years ago when he played for
Mhm.
Denver. Same type of dude. Like you couldn't go in and paint. He found a way to close out quickly. Like you got, and that team is very defensive. They play great defense. Boston, that is. So you have to have these perimeter guys. You have to try and
Yeah,
make them play a zone. And if they get into a zone, you got to have these guys that can hit. Like you need, and they got to hit. Duncan Robinson, Struess, like they got to hit these shots, and
yeah,
Jimmy's got to be, not be afraid to take the shot. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but take the shot, man, and live with it.
yep. And this is what I was telling EJ. I'm like, with Boston plays great defense, and I'm not trying to take nothing away from their defense, but we're getting the shots. We're getting wide open shots. We're just
Hmm.
missing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so you have like in game, what was one of the blowout? Was that game 4? Yeah, that was game
that's
4.
yeah.
And you had like a sequence where it was like 3 plays in a row. We came down, miss, they went down, hit a 3. We came down, miss, they came down and scored and got an and one. We came down to miss, they came back and hit a 3. Like
Hmm.
that's a 9-point swing in just 3 series,
Right.
you know, and that's how you get down 35 points in the second quarter already, so we can't be having swings like that where we're just, miss, and there make.
Yeah, and you guys are also, have been depending on, some guys that are just not that guy, like Vincent. What's Gabe Vincent's? That's the name, right?
Gabe Benson.
Like I like the kid, and he's been able to pull his weight, but this is a big stage. Like
Yeah.
Struess as well. Struess has made some shots here and there, in this series, but he's been, a shell of what he's been throughout this, the playoffs that people have been talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a big stage. Like as good as they may be and they may appear, it's now you're talking about Eastern Conference Finals. And end of the day, it's got to be in the back of Duncan Robinson. He's missing shots, and then when he comes in, you see him hesitating on shots like last year before he got paid. He would have jacked up with no problem.
Yeah. But let me
So,
ask you this though, and I think and I think that this is part of our problem with the injuries, and not trying to make an excuse here, but everybody's dealing with injuries at this stage, like you said earlier, right? But all of our guys who are hurt, it's mostly leg injuries. And
mm,
it's not like in football where, if you're a wide receiver with a leg injury, you can take a play off because this play is a running play. And they're not even running to your side of the field. So it's not like you got to really commit to that block, right? And but in basketball, regardless if the play is on your side of the ball, not you got to run up and down the court. If you're on defense, the guy you're defending may be one of these guys who's running around crazy, so you're running around chasing them. And then now when it's time to shoot, maybe you're not getting as much lift or whatever it is that you normally do for how you play the game. And I
mhm.
think that that's factoring into why they're playing so shitty. Like it's not just the fact that they're hurt. I think it's the type of injury. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you're running all game, and you're running on the hard wood at that. It's not like, there's no series off unless you come out of the game. Not like like you said, like football, you at least get a break between, downs, not downs, but in between series, fourth down, you punt or you score and you get a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of time unless, but and yeah, I mean, when you got leg injuries, you need lift. You need the lift to get those shots off. You got to be able to get over people's hands, defenders. You got to move quick. You got to be able to move on a dime. You got to be able to move without the ball. So these are, they're relevant injuries. The problem though, right, is you got like a Jimmy Butler who's going to play through it. He's going to take his shots to the knee or wherever. And if you have, like, I think you made the point, Tyler Hero, you know, you take the risk in playing, but are you risking the NBA finals?
Yeah.
Like you go out here and maybe you do win, but let's say someone has a catastrophic. Let's say he goes out there and he re-injures, his knee or his leg, even worse. Or let's say he's putting, the pressure on the other leg and blows that out.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes it's a risk that people are playing. And I get it, it's game 7, but it is, you still got to think about, is there a game tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're right, man. And I don't know what kind of shot they're taking, but like when I had to go to the emergency room last year for my foot, they gave me some kind of shot, and I forget what the name. I think it was called Toradol or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, within a few minutes, I wasn't feeling any pain at all, and like my foot was hurting to the point of like just the covers like being on my foot had me like in excruciating pain. And now I'm like standing up, full
Yeah.
pressure, and I was like, this shit is so scary because I could be doing more damage, and I have no clue what's happening because
Right.
this shot has like taken away everything. You know what I mean? So yeah, that shit is definitely a risk, man. But these
Imagine,
guys. I mean,
imagine how
yeah,
many athletes are doing that.
right. I remember D Wade did it back in '05 in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pistons when he had the
Hmm.
fractured rib. And he took the shot and played, and it's like, and D Wade is not just some perimeter player. He's going to go to the paint. And I'm like, this dude could be getting banged up and not even know his rib is no longer fractured. It's now broken. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yep.
So that's dangerous, man.
Yep. RG3, Romo, those guys,
Mm-hmm.
specifically RG3, if anybody, like he was
Yeah.
still really, really young. Like, that knee injury, that was tough for him to play on. And the worst part is he took the shot and you could still see him noticeably limping. So that's
Yeah.
what made it worse. Like, come on, Shanahan, you can't do this to this kid, man. And he
Right.
did it. He did it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
I'll be watching 8:30 tonight. That game is on, so I look forward to that. Since we're here, you been watching anything else?
I watched I've been watching that show I told you guys about, The Man Who Fell to Earth. Really liking it. It didn't come on last week, but tonight's a new episode, so I'll be checking that out. I also watched a show called Barry on HBO. It's in the
Mm,
third season, so I'm into that as well. Um
it's funny,
and then I
right?
started, what did you say?
It's like a funny Dexter kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a comedy. Yeah, he
Yeah.
plays a he's like a hitman, and he
Hmm.
goes to California to do a hit on this guy who's like in an acting class. So to get close to him, he joins the class, and he like falls in love with acting. So, but yeah, it's pretty good. And then I started well, not just started, I started and finished The Circle. I binged it all in the one week.
Aha.
And I don't know, like I try not to watch stuff like that, but it's just I be seeing it on Netflix, and I'm like, ain't really nothing else on. Let me, and then I get caught up, and
Hmm.
yeah. So I like this season that the girl, the one Parker who was catfishing as her dad, who got voted off first.
Oof,
I was like,
Lord.
man,
Yeah,
my
I was hoping
goodness,
she would be there much longer.
woo, man,
I want to go on that show, man.
yeah,
Like
it'll be interesting.
I want to go on it. Like I don't like I like watching it a lot. This season wasn't my favorite season of The Circle, but
Yeah,
I finished it too this week. It wasn't my favorite, like especially towards the middle and the end. They were all too genuine. Like for me, listen, I would be cut throat
yeah,
in there. Like if you watched and you finished and you saw like when Frank was the super secret
yeah,
influencer, and then he cut someone who like means absolutely nothing, that has no, that Nathan the catfish. No, I would have
yeah,
cut you Ling ass right the fuck out.
yeah,
Like this bitch been a top person every time. Yeah, it's time for her to go, and she'll never know it was me until she
right.
watches it.
And I agree with you, but the only reason I think he kept Yuling was because I think like he probably was thinking when it comes down to the final vote, she likely will rate me high, you
Right.
know.
and then I can rate her
and
last.
you know what I mean. So I think that was had something to do, and obviously it worked since he won. But
Right.
the thing that kind of shocked me was like how um um what's his name, Trevor, the one catfishing as the girl,
Yeah.
how he was like top two,
A
and I'm like, this dude
finalist.
came in like at the end, and but the dude who won last season also came in late and won.
Hmm.
So you know, because it don't seem like they're there that long before like they get to the finale. Because I think the whole show probably only lasts a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's 13 episodes. I was reading some of the stuff on there and watching some of the videos that's the contestants. So a lot of what we see is just portions of chats.
Hmm.
So they say those chats run long, like some of those are hour-long chats, and then
Mm.
they're only giving us, pieces of it. And this is day over day over day. So I think it's like I think it's 3 weeks, if I remember correctly. They were saying that they're in there for 3 weeks. They're locked in, don't have their phones, don't have access to the world, which you see when when you finally get that video from home and shit, like
Yeah.
it actually causes them to kind of break down a little bit. I could just imagine 3 weeks in a room. I guess you could go up and down, right? But like that's a change.
I don't know. That should always that part of reality shows always gets on my nerves. Only because I'm like, I think it's because I was in the military. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've been deployed for like months at a time, and like you've been gone for you haven't seen your family in 2 weeks. Like, I mean, how many like people with jobs have to take business trips where they're gone for 2 weeks? They don't, I mean, obviously you got your phone, you can make phone calls, and now with
Right,
technology, you can FaceTime, whatever. So I
right.
I kind of get the no communication aspect, but like it's like a couple of weeks. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here?
Yeah. But yeah, I get it. But they don't have access to their phones or the internet or their family. And you think about it, you're in that same room for 24 hours a day, every
Yeah,
day. You might have a conversation here or there with a contestant, and every conversation you have is gonna make you think like, fuck, did I just ruin my chance to win? Like
yeah,
I can see how it's I want to go on it, man. Like I want to be a contestant on that shit. I'm gonna try
yeah.
and find a way to do it. I don't know if my wife's gonna let me, but I'm gonna try.
Would you go in as you, or would you catfish?
I don't know, man. I haven't thought it. I haven't thought it through. I haven't thought it through. I have to think about it.
Well,
Um,
I definitely know if you catfish, people need to like. I don't understand how people go in to play somebody else and don't have any information. You know what I mean? Like
right.
the one guy who was like trying to be the Nathan kid, and then the one guy Bruce sees all the golf stuff and like asks him a golf question. He's like, "Oh shit, I don't know nothing about
Right,
golf."
exactly. Is it a
Like,
birdie? Like, why would you say you play golf, dude? Say that you play badminton or some shit that you
right.
know about, soccer. You know, like that's the
Or just
one
say
thing.
you do something like something you actually do. Like I mean, I get
Right.
he's catfishing as his frat bro, but he could also be like like he
I,
looks like he's
I
a gamer.
crochet.
He looks like he's like a gamer kind of. You know what I mean? Like yeah, I'm into games. Like frat boys play games.
he
Like
actually
online games and shit.
he actually has a podcast about cartoons, which would have been perfect at 22 years old.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm a frat bro, but I'm still heavy into cartoons, right?
Right.
Then you could talk up and down about that shit.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I guess when you go into it, you might overthink it. You start to think about, all right, what is it? Like, I gotta have something that's gonna interest everyone. Like cartoons and shit might interest the guys, and games might interest, but I need to interest these women as well.
Yeah.
Caught myself. Almost went crazy on that one.
The
um, but yeah, I want to go on it though. But I
yeah.
thought it was pretty damn good, man. I thought it was a good season. All four of them have been good. This wasn't
Yeah.
my
I've
favorite
enjoyed them.
one, but it was good. You been watching
Yeah.
anything else?
No, other than that, I just been watching that. I don't know if you caught the part last week when I told EJ that documentary I saw like on the GameStop thing, and I haven't even stopped thinking about that shit, yo. Like this dude turned $45,000 into $1 million,
Oh
and
yeah,
instead of cashing out, he held on to that shit and only ended up cashing out 350.
because people are
That's
stupid.
yeah. Oh,
Because
I cannot believe that happened.
people are stupid. People are greedy.
Yeah,
And that's why I say, like, when people are like, oh, if you would have just put $100 in Bitcoin back on this day, you'd be a billionaire. No, I wouldn't. I
Nope.
wouldn't. Because as soon as that motherfucker would have hit 100,000, I would have left $1,000 in there.
Yep.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Or
Cashed
even
out.
less. As soon as that bitch hit 20,000, I probably would have left like
Yep.
3,000 in there. Like,
I would
I
have
would not.
I would
Yeah.
have cashed out a bunch of it and left a few runners, and then I would have been
Right.
like, damn, if I had just, but I would have had this part secured already.
Right. Right. That bag still would have been secured. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So,
Um,
but what you
I
been watching,
watched.
man?
I watched. So I finished The Circle. I really haven't had. I mean, I've been watching, but I can't remember all the shit that I've been watching. Honestly, I watched some comedy on Netflix. I forget who it was. Damn it, one of the comedians, one of the stand. Oh, I watched the Cat Williams one. That one was
Oh,
pretty
okay.
good. Um, so that was good. I started a show yesterday called Welcome to Eden. I didn't get far into it, but I gotta finish that. I think I told you guys I watched the cake one, right?
Yeah.
Is it
The
cake? Is
the
it cake? Yeah,
right.
I
Yeah.
told you
You
guys
told
I
us about that.
started. Yeah, I watched that. So, but I haven't really been doing too much TV watching. I still got stuff to catch up on. I got to finish Ozark. Um, Everything kind of went on hold until I finished The Circle. Like
Yeah.
it's like my guilty pleasure, yo,
I
for
keep
some
saying I'm going to
reason.
start that Ozark. 'Cause I see it's only. I believe this is the end of it, and there's only 4 seasons.
Hmm.
And the
Yep.
way I benched it, I'm like, that's a pretty easy watch. I can do 4 seasons, 4 seasons, 10 episodes. So
I wish I would have. Yeah, I wish I would have waited like now. I think it'll be easy binge and easier to stay into. Like that COVID break, man, it did it. Like I'm not as excited for this season, so I
yeah,
turn it on and I'm like, whatever. I'll watch some of it, but I like Ozark. It's good. It's good. Um, on the topic of TV, did you see yesterday? Internet broke a little bit. Bunch of the contestants from Pimp My Ride came out and said that it was fake.
no, I didn't see that. But I've heard stuff about that in the past. But no, I didn't see that happen yesterday.
Yeah, it kind of broke the internet a little bit. Of course, Black Twitter, us, because Exhibit and stuff. But people, some of the contestants came out. Actually, almost all of them came out and said, after they fixed their cars, they still had issues or worse issues,
Yep.
and or as soon as the camera stopped rolling, they pull everything out that bitch. Like
Damn.
they take everything back. Like, yo, imagine, dog. Like, nah, nah, nah. You are not taking that that fish tank back. I
Right.
asked specifically for the chandelier in the back seat, and you promised.
That shit. Like I used to. It was funny like when it first started, and then it seemed like they were just going like the shit. It just wasn't practical. It's like, oh man, Steve, he likes coffee, so we put an espresso machine in the glove compartment, and it's like,
Right,
what?
right. He's got a whole griddle. We replaced his trunk with a griddle so he can eat breakfast at work because he's always tired. What the fuck?
Like, yo. Like this shit was just so impractical, man. I'm like, this shit don't make sense. And then the people who were like, man, I wasn't at first. I didn't used to be confident, and now, like, I'm the man because I got this.
All
I got a
yeah,
griddle in my trunk.
all all the bitches love me now because I got a wine cooler in the back seat. Still got an oil leak, but my
Wow.
fucking transmission's still slipping. But I got a wine cooler in the back.
Right. So yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me that they're saying this shit was fake or they took it back or whatever. But it was stupid, man. It was stupid.
I'm interested in hearing like MTV or Exhibit come out and say something about that, just
Yeah.
to see how they feel about it
But
or what
and
they
a
say
lot of
about it.
things too. I think that people, because I think that you get tricked into like it being called reality TV. So a lot of people think it's real. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the base of the word reality is real. You know,
Hmm.
and so people think like, oh, so and so and Housewives both showed up at this restaurant to talk, and you never notice how they don't order any food, or they order
Hmm.
food that never comes,
Right.
and they show up, take 2 sips of a drink, have a 5 minute conversation, and that, you know what I mean? Like that's not real. That shit is staged. That's why when
Right.
they go to these places, they're mostly empty, you know,
Right.
and
I'd be
and
like,
and
I'd be like, how did if I've been talking shit this whole time for 7 episodes how I hate you, why are you at my party? Like,
Right.
why are you at my house?
Exactly. You know, and even like in those in some of those like house shows on HGTV, like I saw a thing on that show Love It or List It,
Hmm.
and they were saying like some of the houses that they go on tour are not even like for sale.
Wow.
They're like rental properties or something that, you know, they walk them and they like, oh no, this one won't work, that one work, that one, you know.
Yeah.
And
You really got
and
one
then
option. Here's your
right.
option.
And then I also saw something for that same show, Love It or List It, saying that when they actually film it at the end, regardless of what the person actually decides to do, they film both endings. So they film an ending of them saying we're gonna love it, film the ending of them saying we're gonna list it, you know.
Oh,
And they just decide like after they kind of put the season together, like what ending they're gonna show for each episode or whatever. You know what I mean?
wow.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's entertainment, right? And that's what
Hmm.
we're here for, you know. So you have to bamboozle Americans, or you know, not just Americans, but humans, because our minds are so fucking easily manipulated. And speaking of easily manipulated and stupid humans, we may as well go ahead and get into it, right?
Yeah.
You know, no better time than the present to start talking about you know, Texas. I'm gonna let you intro this because you probably have a lot more details. You're gonna do a better job than I am.
So yeah, man. You know, last week we had another school shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde or Uvalde. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced, Texas. The gunman went into an elementary school and killed. The initial count I saw was 18, but then I've seen another count that said 19. I'm thinking maybe a child maybe passed in surgery or something like that,
Mm.
and maybe that's why it wasn't in the initial. But it's either 18 or 19 children, and then two adults. One of the teachers who was killed at the school, her husband had a heart attack a couple days later. You know, which and they said they were like you know people are kind of connecting it, but they were like high school sweethearts, et cetera, et cetera. So people are like he couldn't live without
Broken
her and all
heart.
this kind of thing like that. So I'm sure the stress of that situation didn't help, but still, that happened. Um, and the big questions is, what the fuck were the police doing? Because the information they've been putting out seems to be conflicting with other information that we're getting. At first they told us they engaged him, and then most people think engaged mean like there was some kind of firefight, and maybe he just got the best of them because he had more powerful weapons than they had. They were sitting there with handguns. He has a rifle, and then we find out by engaged they mean like the cops were kind of walking his direction, like, hey, what's going on over there? Hey, but let me talk to you, buddy. you know
Right.
so we're finding out that while he was in the classroom, when they said like, oh, it was a barricaded subject, so we were treating it like that, there was like 19 officers while this guy was still in the classroom shooting people. There while the 19 officers were in the hallway waiting for an hour, they were still getting 911 calls from kids in the classroom saying, hey, I'm in here, there's still people alive, help us, from children. And the cops didn't act. And one of the main problems, and I don't, we'll have to see like once some kind of report is done, is that it seems like they're putting everything on the back of the on scene commander, and that may be true. But this on scene commander was the chief of police for the ISD, the independent school district, so like the resource officers. And this on scene commander is a cop that has 6 police officers, like 4, 5, 6, not you hear me say 60, or 6 police officers under his command. And you had people from the sheriff's office who were more senior, who had more experience, people from border patrol who were more senior, more experienced. You had people there who are now cops that had military training and stuff like that, who were saying, let us go in. And this guy was like, no, we don't need to do it right now, blah 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 blah. And it seems like his inaction caused children to it caused more children to die, essentially. And what we found out yesterday, or not yesterday but Friday, is that the team that eventually went in and killed the shooter was a tactical team from Border Patrol, because the Border Patrol actually has a station within that town. So that's why their tactical group was there. Because after Columbine, the decision was made, when there's something like this happening, it's like all hands on deck. It don't matter if it's federal, local, whatever. And
Mm.
they basically got frustrated with the on scene local people and just made the decision on their own and said, "Fuck it, we're going in." And they went in and took down the shooter.
This shit is it's crazy, man. It's sad. Like it's sad knowing, these are young children, I mean, nobody deserves to die, right? Nobody deserves to live through this or deal with this or have this kind of situation happen, but children are innocent, man. And these
Mm-hmm.
are young kids in elementary school that don't know, you know, the danger that that tomorrow brings, right? They don't know the danger that their personal actions bring. For them to be sitting, I can only imagine some of the damage that this is going to do to some of the survivors, right? The ones that survived it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only imagine the thoughts and think of a fucking 8, 9, 10-year-old kid at school having their best time where they're safe. They've been safe every time they go to school every morning. That's a safe place for them. Their teachers there, they're keeping them safe. Their parents tell them this is where they belong. And then that happens. And then think about one of them actually being shot. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And maybe, and you got to think, I think people don't really take in those like the last minutes, or even one that made it through that looks to the right and they see their classmate, their friend, their best friend, their friend they were just on the slide with, their friend they were just doing math with, doing art with, at the bathroom, fucking around, whatever it is, at the water fountain, and they're bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
They can't move, they're screaming, they're yelling, you know what I mean, they're crying, they're in pain. Like this is fucking ridiculous, man. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, I'm a supporter of gun ownership. I go on record and I always say it. But it's out of hand, man. It is absolutely out of hand. When you talk about, and I think what resided the most with me when you said it this week was the fact that he had, stronger weapons and better protection in the vest or whatever he had, the tactical gear that he had, than the
Mm-hmm.
fucking police. And the nastiest piece to it is, one of the things that people are saying, or the parents that were there, that some of the cops that were there went inside, got their kids, came out, and then proceeded to not go back in and try and save anybody else. That's the nasty piece.
Yeah.
Like that you would have to see me. Like if
Yeah.
my kid was in there, you know, even whether he or she made it or not, and I'm a parent and I hear that, and you were one of those cops, you got to see me. Like you got to see me.
And let me say two things. Let me touch on, let me come back to something you said about like how the kids, what's going to happen to them, etc., right? And instead of, kind of being hypothetical, like give you a real world situation. There's a little girl named Maya who was at the school. She got interviewed on MSNBC, and they didn't show the interview. They had a reporter who talked to the girl, who was just telling people what she said, but they didn't want to put her on camera. And they said that the little girl, they were willing to talk to the reporter, but they had to send a woman because the little girl says she's afraid of men now, right?
Mm,
Um, the girl says while she's in there, the dude like shot up the room, and her friend she's playing dead. Her friend is next to her, actually dead. This is a 10-year-old child who's looking at a dead body. She was scared that the guy, because the room that he went into, it was like a connecting classroom that had like a door on the inside that connected to the next classroom. So
mhm.
while he was in the other classroom like shooting at people, she covered herself in the friend's blood so she can better pretend to be dead. You know what I mean? And she survives, right? She has some, the producer was saying you can see like some wounds on her back. It looks like some shrapnel or something ricocheted or something and hit her, but nothing like life threatening. You know what I mean? This little girl who's like 9, 10 years old, whatever the case, has to live with that forever. You know what I mean? And she's gonna be fucked up for the rest of her life. And me being a person who served in the military, who deployed to Iraq, right? We see grown men and women who are trained for this type of shit suffer mental health issues that stay with them for life. What the fuck is gonna happen to a baby? You see what I'm saying? And like this is fucking insane, man. The second point that I wanted to make about the cops going in, right? And I don't know how I feel about that yet. And the reason why I say that is that I'm hearing conflicting things, right? I have heard them saying cops went in and got their own kids and came out. And then I heard another story from the New York Times about a cop who's a border patrol agent. He was off duty that day, but his wife teaches at the school, and his kid goes to the school. He sits down to get a haircut, and right when they're getting ready to start cutting his hair, he gets a text from his wife telling him there's a shooter at the school and they can't get out. He hops out the chair, and he didn't have no weapon on him, and he borrowed a shotgun from his barber and drove to the school and went in and got his wife, his kid, and their classroom out. So what, he didn't just get his kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I don't know if like it's kind of like a fog of war situation where it's like a story like that is being communicated to people saying, oh, they went and got their kids and then left everybody else,
Right.
or
Right.
if it's like that specific story that kind of when you do like the telephone game, is getting to us who weren't there. Is like, oh, they went and got their kids and left the other kids to die. You know what I mean? Because they were saying him and some of the adults that he was there with, they were clearing people out. Maybe his wife was like in another part of the school or something like that, which is why they were able to get those folks out. You see what I'm saying? And so
Right.
that's why I haven't hit that hard like on that storyline yet. But there were cops basically there not doing shit. There's a story I told you guys about in the chat about a woman who, her kid goes there. She's at work. She gets the text, active shooter. She leaves work 40 miles away, drives all the way back over there. What the fuck are you guys doing? You need to go in there. You got to stop them. She gets arrested for like interfering with an investigation or something like that by, I think they said like a federal cop or something like that. The local cops, because it's a small town, everybody knows everybody. They get the feds to basically let her go. Like, her kid's inside an active shooter. Like, what the fuck is she supposed to do? They let her go. She breaks through, hops the fence, and goes in and get her kids. This is just a lady. I'm not saying
Right.
like women can't be badass or nothing like that, but this is just
Right.
some lady. You guys got weapons, training. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right. Right. That shit is just it's unacceptable, man. It is absolutely unacceptable. The response is unacceptable from, the local, police department. Their responses to what took place is unacceptable. Just saying, "Oh yeah, we fucked up."
Yeah,
Well, we fucked up isn't going to work. Like,
exactly.
this isn't Monday morning quarterback where you're like, "Oh, well, if we would have not gone on it on fourth down." You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking about kids that died, 38 total that were wounded or injured that day, right? With however many that died, and people are just focusing on the ones that died. You got to also think about the ones that were wounded or injured,
Yeah.
and they're gonna live through it, whatever they're gonna live through for the rest of their life. Even the ones that were not injured, like this is traumatizing. You imagine at some point your kid is 9, you have to tell your kid, hey, do you think you feel okay going back to school? Like, whether it be next year, 2 years, 3 years, or you're gonna have to homeschool them. Like, this is gonna change the trajectory of many of those children's lives, man. And it's sad, man. And it's sad. And the even sadder part is, the response to people like two sides of it. I play both sides of the coin on this one. I play the side of the coin where the government, and I'm looking at the government on both sides of it. I'm looking at the people that are using tragedy for political gain, and I'm looking at the people that are kind of brushing it off and trying to defend or come up with the stupid fucking response of, well, we should have reinforced doors
Yeah.
with additional security on classrooms. Teachers should be armed. We saw in fucking Buffalo an officer who was retired,
Mm-hmm.
right? Think about that. In order to retire as an officer, you have to be on the job for 20 to 30 years depending on or well 15 to 30 depending on, the state or city, right?
Mm-hmm.
This guy is trained, he's dealt with all types of situations, and he attempts to act, and he cannot do it. You're telling me a teacher who's not going to go through this type of training, who's
Yep.
really, they didn't choose this. This is not what I'm signing up for. I'm a teacher. I'm here to fucking teach. I'm not here to be concerned with having to carry a weapon, having to keep it safe. What if I make a mistake as a teacher? And they may not even be thinking about this. This is what I would be thinking as a parent. Like they showed some teachers that are armed on the news. This is the type of shit that people play, right? Oh well, in this school, these teachers say they're armed and they feel so much more secure if this was to happen in their school. No, but I don't as a parent. Like
Exactly.
I don't want you to have that in the classroom. Like, how do I
Exactly.
know your level of responsibility? How do I know that you're not gonna maybe put it in the top drawer one day and be like, oh man, these pants fall down when I wear my weapon. Let me just put it in the drawer, and you forget and you walk out and maybe a kid grabs it or whatever, right? Like, this is just reinforced doors, more security, armed guards. So now I got to send my kid to school with dudes holding fucking ARs and AKs and whatever other type of weapons you want them to hold to try and keep them safe. And we clearly see it's not working. The cops didn't want to go in. It didn't work in Buffalo. Most of these guys that are coming out, they're surrendering. Surrendering,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not coming out after a gunfight. They're not dying. These shooters. They're coming out because they've done what they had to do. They've gotten their message across. They're probably going to go down in history. And now let me surrender, because now that I've surrendered, they're not going to kill. Listen, if I was a cop, the dude would have got shot in his face. No matter what, he could come out arms up. I would have shot him in his face as soon as he went down to his knees. Like, there's no way you're gonna tell me you're gonna shoot however many children or kids or attempt it, and then come out and surrender and be okay. Like, it's not happening. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's they say, and they had the NRA convention in Texas yesterday, on not yesterday, but Friday, and Ted Cruz was there, senator from Texas who represents these children. You know, um, um, we know nothing but a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. There were hundreds of good guys with guns. 19 kids still died. There were 19 fucking, and I keep saying 19 kids, but I don't want to like just talk over the two adults. 21 people died. There were 19 police officers, good guys with guns, outside of the room that the guy was in. You know, we still lost those 21 people. You know what I mean? There are kids making 911 calls while this dude was still killing people. I'm here. I'm alive. Help me, please. Get me out. You know what I mean? Like this good guy with a gun bullshit. It's bullshit. It's them talking about oh, we need to make schools. The thing they're talking about now is schools need to have one entrance, one exit. You know, like one, what the fuck are you gonna do when there's like a fire or something like that? If there's an emergency, and then they bring
Oh
up
my
these smoke
god.
screens like one entrance and exit, like a hospital, like an airport. Like, have you ever been to an airport? They have so many entrances and exits that they have numbers on them. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, yo? Hospitals don't have one entrance or exit. Like, it's them just flooding the zone with bullshit in order to not talk about the underlying thing, which is the guns. And I know, like you said earlier, you like to do the devil's advocate thing or whatever. But there was a reporter from Sky News, which is a European new, I think it's British if I remember correctly, or it might be Australian. I'm not sure, but anyway, he asked Ted Cruz, why don't you guys do something about the guns, et cetera, et cetera. And Ted Cruz is like, oh, Democrats say da da da. And then he stayed on it. But the guns, like, what about that? I know everybody want to go to the talking points. And he was like, Senator, United States is the only country this happens in. Why? You know what I mean? Like, in these other countries, they have restrictions on guns. I posted in the chat the other day the things that you have to go through to get a gun in Canada. You know what I mean? You got to apply. You got to get a mental health assessment. You got to do gun safety training for like a month. You got to have references who say, yeah, Steve's a good guy. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
he'd be all right. You know what I mean? And you have to do like recertifications after a certain period of time. You got to tell them, this is my plan to keep my gun safe, to make sure like it doesn't get in the hands of my children so they accidentally shoot themselves, on and on and on and on. And for us, it's like, what are the steps to get a gun? You're 18 and you have the money to pay for it.
Yep. Yeah, I saw the one that the producer of Catfish, Neve, put out. That was the one that I think you posted as well, where he said, a letter from your spouse or whatever wording they used.
Yeah.
And somebody broke that down a little bit. And I don't know if you posted the breakdown or if I was just scrolling and I saw the breakdown, but allegedly, 67%, I want to say, of violent gun crimes that take place, the people have some type of history of domestic violence.
Mm.
And
That must have been
so,
scrolling. I don't remember that.
okay. And so that's why they said you should need a letter. What was it? A letter of who
Like
posted it?
recommendation or something like that.
Yeah, from your spouse. I mean, listen, I get it. I get it. And I'm at a point now where it's hard to be on that side of things.
Yeah.
I won as an owner of whatever, right? Of things, have always had that same thought. Like, listen, I need this, but do I need it? Like, let's be
Yeah.
honest. Like, and I'm not talking about like the handguns or the pistols, right? Even that you could still make an argument for, but at least that's concealable. That's it still has a capacity, a mag capacity. You can. They should probably come out with some type of maximum mag capacity for production. Whatever that looks like. If they're gonna continue, but fucking from an assault rifle standpoint, a shotgun standpoint, long rifles, things like that. I get it. You want to hunt. I get it.
But people
You
don't
know.
hunt with those. That's the problem, though.
No, I
Right.
know, I know, I know. But I'm saying when people say that's what they use it for,
Right.
I get you want to hunt, and that's where I was going. You don't need an AR-15 to hunt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need an AR-15 with 30 bullets in it, like with 10 mags that hold 30 bullets.
Exactly.
To go hunt a deer. You're gonna you're
Exactly.
gonna you're gonna hit it or you're gonna miss it. 99% of uh shots that people take when they go hunting, you only get one shot because the motherfuckers are that quick. Like, people lay there for hours because if you move and make a noise, they're gonna be gone. So imagine it. You don't need 30 bullets. Like, that's not gonna happen. Like,
Exactly.
there's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't get it. And you got our governor here in Florida, dickhead DeSantis, I like to call him, is wanting to go the route like Texas and make it to where it's just full open carry with no need to qualify. As long as you're of age, you can purchase. No prereqs. Like right now,
Yeah.
I mean, I hold a concealed weapons permit here, and I know that you can't have a felony, you can't have a warrant, you can't have a domestic violence issue, and you got to have a clean bill of health, basically.
Yeah.
No Fs. But I got it when I moved here in '05. I moved here in '04. I got it in '05, right? The only thing I've had to do to renew it, the 3 times that I've renewed it so far, is send the payment and an
Yep.
updated picture. That's it. So I don't. You're not checking. Maybe they are checking my background when I send my payment, but sure, maybe I don't have anything on paper, but you could look at the fact that I go through a divorce,
Right.
right? Someone that simply went through a divorce, someone that was fired from their job. These are things that cause mental anguish. These are things that
Mm-hmm.
cause, instability in people's minds that you can really take into consideration when you're, offering them an opportunity to carry a weapon. I
Exactly.
mean, have they gone to any type of counseling? Which I know that's supposed to be something that they're looking at, but I think that's only when it's the initial. I don't think that's the renewal. So
Mm-hmm.
if you've gone to any type of counseling, have you taken FMLA at your job? Because we know a lot of people like to fake that shit, but a lot of people really do take
Mm-hmm.
FMLA for mental issues, right? The stress of work. When you renew, they need to look into all of that. There needs to be because you might have been perfectly fine at 21, But at 29, you might be a fucked up person. At 30, you
Right.
might be a fucked up person. At 35, at 40, whatever that looks like. You know, what other stuff do you have that has happened? What has taken place? You know, are you a safe person? Like these kids, some of these kids that get a hold of guns, we hear stories all the time. It's not just the shootings. We hear stories of kids that go to elementary schools with a gun in their backpack because their fucking parent was, left them access to it or showed them where it was in case of emergency, because we know a
Right.
7-year-old or a 10-year-old is going to be able to use a gun to stop an intruder. We know that's going to happen.
Right. And Steve, and let me connect the shooting that just happened with everything that you're saying, right? This guy turns 18 the week before the shooting. So 2 weeks ago, he goes out and buys these weapons, two weapons, along with I forget how many magazines they said, and over 1,000 rounds of ammo, right? All after he turns 18. Then they had, because I guess they got his phone records, so some of that stuff's been released. He was texting with some girl that he met online who lived in Germany, and he's texting about how his grandma is pissing him off because she's on the phone complaining about her phone bill or something like that. And he says in the text, "I'm about to shoot her. Oh my god, I can't stand it. Like, what the fuck?" And he comes back like 2 minutes later and is like, "I just shot my grandma. I'm about to go and shoot up this elementary school." And then like 5 hours later, the girl from Germany, I guess she finally sees him and is like, "Oh my god, I just saw the news," you know. And but think about all that stuff that you said, right? You don't know what's happening with a person. So we allowed a person who could be set off by hearing somebody complain about a phone bill. That was enough to push this dude over the edge. We allowed him to buy two guns and 1,000 rounds of ammo. You know what I mean? Because there is no pre-screen. There is no checking to see if you're right, if you're good to go mentally. Are you of sound mind to be able to own something that could take life away? You know what I mean? We just say, "Oh, you're 18, you got the money, here you go. Thank you for purchasing here. Hopefully you see us again." You know what I mean? And that's part of the problem, is that we're not doing any type of due diligence to make sure that these people are, good to go, like you said. And to the point, you're set off by somebody complaining about a phone bill. That's enough to make you your grandmother. This is a person who loves you unconditionally, and I assume you love them the same. You were able to attempt to kill that person over them just, making some noise, and then go kill 21 innocent people that you don't even know, or that you likely knew because, small town, but still.
Right. I saw somebody saw what, I forget her name, the Candace lady, the black girl that, she always says dumb shit.
Oh,
Y-
who used to be on Clueless?
no. The Candace
Oh, Candace
partner?
Owens. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Owens.
Yeah, yeah.
Um she made mention of him taking pictures younger, dressed as a girl, and that being the source of his, his mental issues. Like, I just don't, I don't like when people take something like this and try to spin it for, whatever their other arguments are. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're against, LGBTQ plus altogether, whatever it may be. Right? You're against their rights and stuff, and you think that's the problem.
Right.
And I don't like that. I don't like the way that they're handling it. There needs to be some type of gatekeeping. Like, there needs to be prereqs. There needs to be, like, you have to do, just like we say with the cops, right? We say that cops need to go through, additional training and mental screening and mental health screening and things like that regularly, and it doesn't happen, and that's why we see people, getting killed on the streets by cops all the time, right? um and they got, there has to be something, man. Like, and when people, that's the problem, people can't connect stricter gun laws with screening and laws and things like, and an actual law. They're seeing, well, stricter gun laws means take every single gun out of here, out of the way, right? and
Right.
and I've told you before, like, me again, I'm very pro gun ownership, right? And but I do understand that something needs to happen, you know.
Right.
And for us to continue to see this every couple of years, we're seeing schools get shot up. We're seeing kids, and now it's getting younger. They're getting younger. Like this was in elementary school, right? Sandy Hook was in elementary school. These aren't colleges. These aren't the Remy people, that are just having a bad professor and they decide I'm going to go take it out on the college. These are people that are walking into schools with fucking assault rifles and shooting at children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at what point there's something mentally wrong with you if you don't think this is a problem?
Right. And I saw a guy on Twitter who's, I wish I had screenshot of that so I can quote him exactly, because he said exactly what I've been telling people in my personal life, and he said something to the effect of, when we didn't do anything after Sandy Hook happened, when 20 something 5-year olds were shot at school, at that point that means that we've decided as a country that it's okay to kill children, and nothing's gonna be done. And I've told people, with politics, I kind of always feel like, at some point enough is going to be enough, right? And so, you had Columbine, you had Virginia Tech, and all these other shootings, and it just felt like we got to do something. We got to do something. We got to do something. And it never, nothing ever happened. And then when Gabby Giffords, the congresswoman from Arizona, got shot in the head, I thought, okay, for sure they're going to do something. That one, now people in Congress are being shot, and nothing happened. And at that point, I thought it was over if they won't even do anything when one of their own colleagues got shot. They did pass a bill, but it was like one of these like meaningless bills that it was more symbolic than anything, because I don't even remember what the hell it did. That's how weak it was. And then they when she got healthy enough, they came back, and then they set it up to where it was like a tied vote, and her vote was the deciding vote to get it over the hump.
Yeah.
And Obama signed it into law. But like I said, it was something super weak, because I don't even remember what the hell it was. And the shit is still happening, so obviously it didn't do enough, But and then you fast forward, and Sandy Hook happened, and I literally thought, this is the time. They killed 20 something 5 and 6-year-old babies. This is the time. It's definitely gonna happen. And when nothing happened, I thought, nothing's gonna happen. And I hate, and you know me, man. I'm always talking, oh, we gotta vote, we gotta do this, blah, blah, blah. But on this one specific issue, I am super pessimistic about anything happening, because it seems that as a country, we've kind of collectively decided that, we have to just sacrifice some of our people every year in order for folks to be able to have a lot of guns, and it's super fucked up.
Yeah, it's your right. It's your right. It's your right to carry a gun. That's what they're going to throw at us. But here's the thing, right? I knew, and all of that, makes sense too. But I knew nothing was going to happen when that shooting took place at the, what was it, a softball game, where there was a lot of government officials
Oh,
present.
the congressional softball game.
Right. If they didn't do anything there and they were in harm's way, nothing will
Mm-hmm.
ever change this shit. It makes no sense, right? And then we also talk about, and we say it every time something happens, how fickle of the people we are as Americans, right? Everyone's angry, everyone's frustrated, everyone's pissed off. And like I say, and you guys always say it's harsh, and it is, and I get it. It is extremely harsh. You never want this to happen. You never want something like this to happen. But if it's going to happen, maybe you need it to happen right around the time that people are going to the polls. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need it to happen in March. You need it to happen September 17th, September 12th, September 11th, somewhere, September 4th, somewhere in there, where people have the shit fresh in their mind and they can make, maybe they make a decision with their heart versus their head, or, with their emotions, because it's just, I don't get it, man.
You're
I
kind
don't
of
get
in the Rahm Emanuel school of things. He was Obama's first chief of staff, then became mayor of Chicago. But he said this thing when he was chief of staff to Obama, that you never want to let a crisis go to waste. And
right.
he said that in the context of remember when the BP oil spill happened,
Yeah.
and he was basically telling like people, like Democrats, like, this is the time to start pushing our climate legislation to show people this is why we need to get off of oil.
Hmm.
Obviously it didn't work, but but I like your point is kind of like that same thing basically.
Yeah. The crazy part, and I think we've talked about this in the past, but it's even more, it was more visible this time, because I'm paying a lot more attention to like the stock market and stuff. Anytime there's a tragedy like this, the market spikes, like it goes crazy. And there's, obviously, people out there buying security cameras and buying this and that and weapons and guns and ammo and stuff. So you see that kind of spike, but it just seems like over the last week, like, I don't know if you've been watching it, but or maybe it's just the stuff I'm in. It's just it was a good week, it was a good
Yeah,
week from that standpoint. It's just crazy, man.
yeah.
It is
It's
crazy.
this whole thing, man. It's just I don't. I mean, we like we got to just do better, like as a people, man. Like I don't know, like, like to the you always bring up the point, like it's so many guns, they can't gun confiscation is not gonna be a thing. It's not realistic, right? Can it happen? Sure. Will it happen? I doubt it. I think they have to do something on guns like going forward. We make it harder to obtain a gun. And yeah, there's 300 million guns in the country or whatever, but eventually those guns will become older and inoperable and shit like that. But so maybe you just say, okay, those are a wash. We got to just live with those in the system now. And then we it's kind of like $2 bills. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's $2 bills in the system, but we ain't making new ones. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Maybe you kind of do it some way like that, make it harder to get guns going forward, and then we just got to kind of live with those guns that are in the system until they aren't anymore.
Mhm. What's in circulation stays in circulation, right? And when you get an opportunity, you take another one out. If it
Mm-hmm.
means you pull somebody over and they're carrying or whatever, right? You do, like, it just has to be. It's got to be something like that. And I don't know what it's going to take or who it's going to take. At some point, you got to save yourself from yourself, and
Yeah.
Americans need to be saved from themselves because you know people just think, well, and it you can't even just put it on one party, right? Because I mean, you can when it comes to the laws, but when you're talking about the thoughts, like a lot of Democrats, believe in carrying a gun or carry a gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's people that or supporters at least, right? Including myself, right? I'm one of the people that support the Democratic Party heavily, but every day, right? You won't catch me a day without it, do I feel like, realistically, do I feel like it makes me safer? Probably not, you know. But there's that 1% chance. There's that 1% chance that it could potentially play a part in whatever that takes place. And
All right.
I think that's what's in everybody's mind, and I'm sure that percent of one is much higher than that, but it's, I'm just using that as a number.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse. This is absolutely a topic that you should beat a dead horse on. But I do want to send, all thoughts, all well wishes to the families, to the community that were involved, that were impacted. It's you hate to see it, especially when you're dealing with kids. Listen, man,
Yeah.
I don't, like I said before we started, I don't think anybody deserves it, but I would much rather it be a bar full of 25, 30-year-old people than a school full of 8, 10, 12, 15-year-old kids, man. Yeah.
I hear you, man. It's fucking tragedy, man. So yeah, that definitely all the well wishes to that community, to the people directly impacted, etc. Man, it's just hopefully we can do better. I mean, no need to really. The only thing I'll add is that Biden is actually supposed to go there today,
I saw
to
that.
visit
I did see
to
that.
visit with the families and stuff, and that's 2 weeks after Buffalo, where he was just in Buffalo a couple of days ago.
Right.
Meeting with the families there. Kamala Harris was in Buffalo yesterday to attend one of the funerals, and then it's just yeah, all the best wishes to all those folks, man. Hopefully, them kids can hopefully stay in. This is the last thing I'll say on this. I know you're trying to transition. Is that also you think about like the things that we do as like a people when we talk about like the social safety net, etc. Right?
Hmm.
And how these kind of programs have been like super defunded, right? So of a town that's only 15,000, I doubt that they have the kind of like mental health services, not let alone for adults, but for children that would be needed to try to get these kids fixed up. I mean, I doubt you can fix them all, but to do what you can. You know what I mean? And so a lot of these kids are gonna fall through that crack as well. You know, and it's this shit's just terrible, man. It's terrible.
Yep. Yep. You talked about. I saw it on the news, or I saw an alert, and you said Biden's going out there. You know, I think a mass shooting at a school like this should absolutely cause him to increase the amount that he's going to waive for student loans. Like he's still coming in at 10,000, Vari. Like can we get to the
You know
50 mark? Give me
that
25.
I always say that train is never late, and you were in your wind up, and I didn't see it coming. You definitely got. I did not see that coming.
What
So
so
for the
he
audience, what Steve is talking about is a report came out yesterday that it looks like Biden is leaning into doing $10,000 of student loan debt forgiveness. Based on reports, if he does 10,000, that'll impact about I mean, it'll impact everybody. There's like 1/3 of borrowers that it would actually clear out their entire student loan
dropouts.
debt. Um, but a lot of advocates think that it's too small, to Steve's point, and people think that he should do 50. Some people think he should just do all. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what Steve's talking about. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so that came out this week. Maybe he'll, hit you with the gotcha bitches. Here's 25, Um, but 10,000, and to your point, it's going to impact a lot of people, impact a lot, and the people that actually get waived clean off of 10,000 are going to be one of two people, right? There'll be either people that have been regularly making payments, unlike me, because I say fuck them and I'll, pay them when I'm ready, especially since they're paused right now, or um people who took the student loans and just didn't finish. They were, losers or dropouts or whatever, those are the people that are going to be, that'll end up being impacted. I just think the number should be, personally, right? This is my personal thought, and this is not even just thinking about, mine, right? Like 50,000 would clear me, but I think just a realistic number, like a 25,000 at least type of thing, only because I feel like enough to where someone who may have taken student loans, and again, this is not the government's problem, it's not their fault, but someone who might have taken student loans, completed some type of coursework, whether it was 2 years or 4 years, can take 25,000 and maybe clear out, some of it based on the school that they went to. Because I tell you, if I told you how many people have bachelor degrees and master's degrees that are out there looking for jobs right now, that are or accepting jobs, like, entry level jobs at my company, like you could be coming in making 43,000 dollars,
Hmm.
with a bachelor's degree, and again, it's choice. There's a lot more that comes into it. It's not the government's fault in any way. But I just, for me, I'm thinking, like, listen, man, if you're gonna do something, do it big. Be impactful. All is a big number. That's a big number. We don't even know what that number is when you say all.
It's like
But
1.3 trillion dollars.
right. And but when you talk about, you know, be impactful. Make people say, "Oh shit, all right, that's good." Like when we talked about the stimulus. You know what I'm saying? When the stimulus went from, what was it, 600 to 1200 or something like
Hmm.
that, it doubled up. Like that was impact. Like people were like, "Oh, okay, I feel this. Like I can make a mortgage payment with this." You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or a partial mortgage, depending on how much you pay. Maybe two. Um, 10,000 is a drop in a bucket to me.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. And like I'm saying, like I said, 50,000 even might be high too, but I'm thinking like a 25ish number is, it sounds better. Like 25,000 is a good number. Like that's enough to buy a vehicle. That's enough to say, all right, I don't got to worry about this 25,000. My payments might come down X amount, whatever that looks like. I could go out and buy a little Toyota Corolla or something like that, and you know dedicate the payment to that or whatever, right? That's how I'm thinking, as for our people,
So
Americans.
I've said on the podcast, I've said it in our group chat and stuff like that. I don't support this policy, right? I understand the need for it. I understand like what it could do, et cetera, but I don't support it. However, I think if Biden does 10, it's going to be a huge missed opportunity. I think I think doing something like a 25, like you just mentioned, would be realistic, right? To have impact. But for me, I'm looking at this thing as being a raw exercise of political power. And you have to show people what you do with power. You know what I mean? And it's the whole reason why that saying, elections have consequences, right? So
Hmm.
you have to show people some consequences. This is what you got for voting for me. And I'm gonna be up in 4 years, but before I'm up, my people up in November, in midway, in the midterms. So you need to get them back in there to have my back, so I can keep having your back. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And while I don't support the policy, I think he should do 50 and show people this is what you do with power. And you know what happens? Power begets more power, you know, because now people say, I voted for this guy. I really wanted to vote for Bernie. I wanted to vote for Elizabeth Warren. I mean, me and you talked about, I wasn't a Biden supporter. For me, I wanted to vote for Elizabeth Warren, but I said Elizabeth Warren can't win. So you know what? I'm gonna vote to Biden for Biden, the guy who can win. And even though he wasn't like my guy, I loved him when he was with Obama, etc. But he just wasn't my guy. On policy, but he's there now, right? And so you got to show people this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna get done, and then or not just that. It's almost like I remember in college when I took speech, right? And our speech teacher told us something it's always stuck with me because it was just like the clearest thing. She was like, "This is how you give a speech. You tell people what you're gonna tell them, then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them." You know,
Right.
and so with elections, you tell people what you're gonna do for them, then you do it, and then you tell them what you did. You know what I mean? And so in this thing here, I think you do that, but like you said, you go big. All those cliches, fortune favors the bold, and win big or go home, and all that kind of shit like that. He needs to be bold here and come out and do 50 and show this is what you do with power. Because the problem is that Biden's gonna do this 10 and he's trying to do this triangulation shit where it's like, you know, this is not really a policy I supported. I kind of got talked into doing it during the campaign. I made a promise. So I'll do 10. And then what it'll do is it's gonna, the people who don't like the policy, they'll be upset about it, but it's only 10. So, not that bad. The people who want more, they'll be happy I did something. And then now I'm kind of good. But because 10 is such a small, weak number, you're going to end up pissing off everybody because the people who don't like it, who don't want you to do it, they're going to be pissed if you do anything.
Right.
And then the people who want you to be bold are going to be like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So stop trying to be cute, right? Don't be fucking Pete Carroll in the shotgun on the 1 yard line when Marshawn Lynch is in the backfield.
Right.
Get in there in the power formation and punch that shit in. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Listen, if you're gonna do it, and I've said it to you guys plenty of times, and makes me almost sound like a Trump supporter. But listen, drop your balls like Trump. Drop your balls like Trump. Trump when Trump does it, that's the one thing, man. Listen, I dislike Trump. I just hate him a lot, like you did. And we talk about it all the time. But I tell you, when Trump decided, listen, for my people, I'm gonna go ahead and put my balls on the table. He put his balls on the table. He wasn't like, oh, some of the, here's some of the remnants of, my shavings from last night. Like here, 2 balls for you. Matter of fact, I got an extra one here for you that I found somewhere. Dropped out of
And
my stomach.
I can actually give you a correlation here on what you're saying, right? When Trump started his trade war with China, China retaliated and they started fucking putting tariffs on our agriculture products. Farmers were getting killed during the Trump administration. And you know what Trump did? He fucking had the Treasury Department send $20 billion to farmers. Congress didn't pass that. They didn't authorize that money, right? But you know what happened? People like me were like, Yo, what the fuck? That's illegal. You can't do that, right? People in Congress who represent Montana, Iowa, Kentucky, Nebraska, why all those places that they farm, they were like, yeah, our people needed it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's the same shit here. You know, people, you're gonna have some people who talk shit. You shouldn't do that. That's too far. It's too much. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Do it. The only thing I would say though is that when he does it, I think that it needs to be coupled with some kind of policy that's going to help bring down the cost of college, because we will be right back here where we were in the 80s with immigration. When Reagan gave amnesty to, like, I think it was like 4 or 5 million people that were here illegally, just gave them amnesty, let them be citizens, but they didn't do anything to also fix the illegal immigration problem. And then so now we're right back here with more people who are here illegally, and people are saying they should just be given amnesty. And if we just keep doing that, like every 20, 30 years, we're going to be right back in the same spot where people are saying, you know, we need amnesty or we need student loan forgiveness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They got to do something that also fixes the policy that has the system broken.
Yeah. You got to win these votes, man. Like, at the end of the day, you got to win these votes. Like, there's no better time than the present. There's a lot of young voters coming, you know, that are out there right now. You know, social media plays a huge part in this, and you need people to have something to go brag about on social media to catch these kids' eyes, because these kids are not, you know, besides the 5% or 10%, you know, that want to be, you know, familiar with politics and shit and the policy, you know, if that, and that's probably a high number, because even in adults you don't get that, you know. There, you need that to scroll up. You need them to be scrolling through and see an alert from fucking the shade room. You know what I'm saying? You need that to pop up from one of the from one of those right wing sites to say, "Oh, Biden's bringing the debt up because he did X, Y, Z." You know what I'm saying? He just forgave $50,000 in student loans or $100,000, whatever that is, right? You need that to pop up, because that's the only way they're going to see it. Because we know the Democrats, we say it all the time, they're not going to highlight it. They're going to come out and be like, hey, today, you know, President Biden made this, and it's a great thing for America. On to you, John. You know,
Yep.
like that's just the way they go. They don't highlight shit. Yeah.
They're not good at selling their policies, you know.
Right.
And as bad as Trump was, I can give him that. Like, the dude puts his name on everything. That's why people who got checks, like stimmies, people who got physical checks versus a direct deposit, their checks were delayed. Why? Because the Treasury Department was trying to figure out some kind of way to put Trump's name on the check.
Mm-hmm. Shit,
So
they even put it on the stub. Like when I got
yeah.
the stub for the direct deposit, it was signed by Trump. Well,
Yep.
sealed. Yeah. I
So,
mean,
you know, and like I've mentioned this on the podcast before. Like, I remember like even here in Central Florida. Remember when, like, the interchange between the 408 and the I-4? Remember, like, now it's basically complete, which, you know, it took them forever. But remember when it was like they weren't working on that shit for a while? Is because they had ran out of money, right? And what happened was, when Obama passed the Recovery Act when he first got in office, Florida got like $600 million, and some of that money went towards to keep working on that interchange between the 408 and the I-4, right? And when I would drive by, I would see the little green sign, and it said this construction project is paid for by the American, I want to say, Recovery Act, but that's what Biden called his COVID plan. I can't remember what Obama's thing was called, but, you know, it's paid for by the American Rescue Plan, you know. And in my mind, I'm like, that's cool, but I get that because I'm a political nerd.
right.
I watch the shit all day, every day. Some dude driving by doesn't know what the fuck the American Rescue Plan is. You need to have a sign up there that says this shit was paid for by Joe Biden. The 408, the 408 I-4 interchange brought to you by Joe Biden.
Dude, if I was him, I would send fucking check stubs for the payments made to each individual person that has a student loan, yo, whatever that amount is. Like, yo, this is the check stub. This is $10,000 made out to Valencia College in the name of, like, Stephen. Yeah, like that's
like
the
that
way
shit needs to be, like you said, like it needs to be like that. And then that picture you say you saw in that gas pump with him, like,
yeah, I did this right. in a personalized letter. Like it could be the same letter for everybody, but hey, dear, whoever, today I did this, and I'm hoping that this has some type of impact on you in the future. Like
Yeah.
something crazy. Like you just got
You
to
gotta
do it.
you gotta own that shit, man. Like, and tell people like, this is what I'm doing for you. This is, this is how I'm making your life better. You know,
Yeah.
and part of it too, man, is like people don't see change, right? I talked about like I grew up poor, right? We lived in the projects, and then even when we moved out of the project, they were going to be tearing those projects down and like building some kind of new shit. And they basically put everybody who lived in that project, the housing project that I lived in, on Section 8 to get us all out of there, right? And when I went home for my brother's wedding, I decided to go drive my son by the damn, show him like, this is where I grew up, right? Thinking I'm gonna go see like the new spot. Same project still there. They just have a gate around the whole thing. They don't let nobody live there anymore, right?
Right.
Which means that shit has been gated up for like 30 years.
Damn.
And it was our housing project, and there was one that was like right like across the way. That one is still there. People still live there. So imagine if you're somebody who's been living there the whole time, because we know a lot of people grow up and never leave the place they grew up from. You know what I mean? You've seen them say we were gonna do this under this, since this was the 90s, and that everything still looks exactly the same. Nothing has changed except there's a gate that prevents me from going in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at some point, you need to show people this is what we're doing. This is the change that we've made. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it was, this is what it is, you know? And you can't just go and every person, and I've begrudgingly have gotten to this point, and you and EJ have mostly convinced me to get there. You can't think everybody is like me, who I'm watching the news and following the news. And when people say, "What has Joe Biden done?" I'm just like, "Well, he's done this, he's done that, he passed his policy that did this, da da da. He signed his executive order that did that, da da da." Most people are like, "I don't feel any of that shit." You know what I mean? All I know is last year when I went and got a fucking pack of chicken wings for Memorial Day to barbecue, they cost me $6. This week when I went and got a pack of chicken wings, they was $40. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right. For the same wings, and they smaller.
So you gotta be impactful, man. And so I like I said, I don't support the student loan policy, but for what you can get from it, you need to go in hard.
Right. Right. No doubt. No doubt. And there's no better time than the present to if you're gonna be a dick about something and force something, do it now and go
Yeah.
big. Make them feel it. They listen. They making us feel. The Republicans are making the Democrats feel it heavily
Mm-hmm.
with the abortion laws and stuff like that. Like they're going ham.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They weren't like, oh, just a tip. They like, hey, take it, take it.
Right.
I'm going. You know, you gotta do it, man. Come on, Joe.
Right.
Come on, Joe. And if not, you gotta figure something out. He's got to. I don't know, man, because at this rate, it's gonna be a rough election next presidential election, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a rough election, or it's either that, or the Democrats are gonna have to not send this guy back up there. They you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's unheard of, right? That's probably
Mostly.
unheard. Yeah.
I mean,
So
you've seen most presidents don't get challenged. The last one was Jimmy Carter back in the 70s. He got challenged by Ted Kennedy. He won, but he ended up losing to Reagan.
yeah,
And it was in
and
an economy that was like this, where inflation was high, gas prices was high, et cetera, et cetera. And Reagan won, I think, every state except like five, five or six or something like that. And then when he ran for re-election, he won every state except one. So
yeah, I don't think I don't think that people would, or that the Democrats would do it because they don't agree with stuff that Joe has done, right? I think they would do it for the same reason why we said, we need Joe Biden versus Liz Warren or anybody else, because I think it would have to be done because I don't think he would have a shot in hell. I mean, there's too many people that are on the fence, and we're again, fickle is our key word here. People are fickle. So the people that switched sides because, everything was fresh, all the shit that Trump did was fresh. It's not fresh anymore. They're gonna go
Mm-hmm.
back to their roots. They're gonna start getting in their circles and be like, and it's gonna only take a little bit to flip them back. Hey, look at these gas prices. Gas prices. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hey, you went and bought some dip today, right? Because those are the people. You went and bought some dip, some snuff, right? You went upper deck with it. How much did it cost you? An extra $1, right? Yeah. It's Biden. Biden and the price of tobacco is up.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's how it's that minimal for people to switch back. So I think it's he's at risk, man. He's got to get some of these young voters, and there's no better opportunity right now with the student loans, man. 10,000 is not
Yeah.
gonna do it. It's
I
not
agree,
gonna do it.
man. He has to. He got to be super bold. You know,
Yeah.
he be super bold and in your face with it.
Yep. Yep. Um, did you guys? I didn't finish, but did you guys get to Bronny last week, or you guys
Yeah.
missed the Bronny thing? Okay.
No, we talked about it.
All right. So this week what came out was and I'll try to make this quick because we're up against time. Travis Kelsey, he got that baddie Kayla Nicole. Well, they've broken up again. She says this time it's for good, right? But she also came out and said, and then I think this is what's going to tell us that it is really for good. Throughout their whole relationship, he never gave her any money. Like they split everything 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this guy's a football player, like
Yeah.
a well-known, wealthy football player. Like they split everything. Not, she's saying that he didn't, nothing. Like I don't know how to react here. The way I saw it is, we celebrate, and let me rewind before we get to it. This is a young lady. She's beautiful, beautiful black girl, beautiful, and she's been celebrated for years. Oh, goals, relationship goals, right? She's with a redhead white dude, right? Bron gets a white girl that you don't even know if this is his girlfriend. It's just a date to the prom
Right.
potentially, and they kill him. But they've been celebrating her. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
goals! This is what I want in my life, and now this comes out, right? I don't know how one should react. This is the double standards that we talk about all the time, man. It's the double standard we talk about. You got to let people have to understand that whether somebody is black, white, Asian, whatever it is, you're gonna be attracted to whatever you're attracted to. You
Right.
can't you can't attack somebody's culture, heritage, family, you know, blackness because they choose to be in a relationship with someone who's different. Um, but I
That's what I
just found
said
it,
last week. People like who they like.
yeah. I just found it funny though that not funny. I found it interesting that this came out this week. And I don't see those same warriors coming out saying, "Oh, well, she shouldn't have gone with a white man."
Mm-hmm.
These was goals just a year ago or 6 months
Right.
ago. And I also want to talk about, so that was just that piece. But how do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel? Do you think, that NFL players or people with that kind of money, you think that they should, unless you're married, maybe that's what he was waiting for. I don't know. That part didn't come out, but you think that's fair, or you think, they were in a relationship, he probably should have opened up just a touch.
I mean, I think that's I would say somewhat fair. Like when like she said everything, right? I don't like if it's dinner or something like that. I don't know like what kind of work she did, if she worked at all.
Mm.
Like if you got me eating at, like if we go to, Chili's and we're splitting the 50-50, it's like, all right, I got that. But if we're eating at a place where the meal is going to be like $5,400, like I can't get that. I can't get the half of that every time we go out. You know what I'm
If
saying?
we're going on vacation in the off season and you tell me I got to pay for my flight, like,
Right. You know, like, wait, we're on a private jet. I can't cover half. You know what I'm saying?
we're
So
staying at the Days Inn, right?
exactly. You know what I mean? Like I saw this thing yesterday on Instagram, and Bron is wherever he's at for his vacation.
Mhm.
And I was telling my wife, I was like, yo, celebrities are just like us, because he was like, it was like a selfie, and the room he was in looked nice as fuck. But you can see like the luggage on the floor, like he's living out of a suitcase, like
Right.
how we do when we go on vacation and shit, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, celebrities are just like us or whatever, you know. But whatever that room costs, I'm sure like Travis Kelsey's girl can't cover the other half of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that probably some place that costs like $8,000 a night or some shit like that, you know?
Mhm.
And so I don't have a problem with him saying, like, yo, we're not married. You're just my girlfriend. So I'm not like upgrading your life in that way. But I would say it probably depends on what she's bringing to the table, A, and B, if she's not bringing much to the table, like what are the things you're asking her to pay for? You know, like, yeah, pay for your own fucking hair and nails and shit like that or whatever. But like for the stuff like I just mentioned, you know, it might be better if he covers those things since he clearly got it, you know?
Yeah. She's an influencer. I'm on board with you a bit. She's an influencer. She has 647,000 followers right now. And we would be ignorant to say that some of that isn't due to his likeness, right?
Right.
So she gets to go to the games. They're winning Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl while they were together. You know what I'm saying? She's at a Super Bowl, taking a picture and putting it on Instagram. Like, you know, she's at the Kansas City Chiefs in the box seats and stuff, you know, so skybox or whatever they call them, you know, so she definitely benefited from it in that sense, but it's still like, listen, man, it's just money, right?
Yeah.
Can't take it with you. If you, you know, how many people probably wish, you know, when they're in the hospital on their dying day, like, damn, that maybe I should have spent that other 10,000 that I left in the bank or whatever, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or 15, 20,000, whatever, you know. So I just feel like you're in a relationship or whatever, you should probably take care of them. But I was just trying to spin it online and some of the comments, like, you know, y'all was okay with her, with, you know,
Yeah.
with
It's
her milk and
definitely
magnesia.
it's definitely a double standard. You know, like we talk all the time on the podcast. Like, you know, last week, Bronny's getting killed because he's dating a white girl, but this black woman is dating a white man. Nobody has no problem, you know. When it
And
seems like,
Precious got married. They celebrated Precious getting married to a white
yeah,
man. I don't know what her name is.
Gabrielle Zidabay, I
Yes.
think is how you say it, or something like that.
Celebrated. Oh, congratulations. You deserve happiness. Oh, bring him to the cookout. He looks like he makes great stuffing. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
it's
it's
double
definitely a double
standards, bro.
standard, man. You know, it seems like when you know when a black woman dates a white man, it's always, you know, oh, the proximity, you know, oh well, you know, black women are really educated and so they're not just gonna, you know, go for anybody, you know, blah blah blah, like kind of shit like that. And then if a black, you know, successful man dates or marries a white woman, it's like, oh, you know, they like them white girls just because they passive and, you know, whoop, 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 you know. So it's definitely a huge double standard, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, speaking of this, real quick, I know we're getting close on time here. I saw something yesterday. I follow this YouTube channel that like follows the president and vice president everywhere they go, and you get to watch them getting on and off the plane and the motorcade and the speeches and stuff like that. And when Vice President Harris went to Buffalo yesterday, she went to the memorial site where they like laid all the flowers and stuff outside the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was interesting that when they walked up to lay the flowers, she was carrying the flowers. Like normally when you see like presidents do this, like the spouse carries the flowers, you know. So like when Biden went to Buffalo, it was Jill doing it, but this time it was still Kamala.
Listen.
And I'm thinking like, yo, how come Doug wasn't carrying the flowers, yo?
Listen. Doug wear the pants. Doug got gender roles in his household. She was like, "Hey, could you grab them flowers, bitch? You only the president in public. In private, you know who run this house.
Oh
Shit, better grab them damn flowers, Kamala. Stop fucking around.
Oh man, you stupid.
Shit. While you at it, you clean up them blackberries too, because I'm hungry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's crazy. Shit, I tell you, man, I could only imagine being a first husband. If I was
Yeah,
a first husband, oh my god, forget about it. I'll
yeah.
be, I'll be like LeBron's mom and shit. They'd be like, yo, well, the vice president's husband got caught with the fucking. Never mind. I won't talk about it. Probably better if I don't say it. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Um, I think. Let me see my list, man. What else did I have? I just dropped that in the chat for y'all to read about Kayla Nicole. Bronny, Pimp My Ride, shooting, 10K student loans. I think I got everything.
Yep.
I got everything. Yep. Anything else you had?
Uh, go Heat.
Go Heat. Wear your masks. COVID is still a thing. While I was out there, dude, I wore my mask, right? People were looking at me like I was crazy. I was
Yeah.
on the flight, real quick. I'll make this quick. I'm on the flight. I was probably one of three people that had a mask on the flight. you know, someone got on the flight and asked for the mask, and they didn't even have any on the plane. I gave one of my extras to the fucking flight attendant to give to them. True
Wow.
story. True story.
Wow.
Um, and then when I was out there, I used plastic cutlery everywhere we went, no matter how upscale or nice the place was. Like when we ate at some pretty nice places too, and some trashy places. But I was like, you got plastic fork, you got to go cutlery. Oh yeah, we got to go stuff. All right, let me get it.
Yeah.
Drinks. I was drinking mimosas out of a straw. Like it was, and I think it's just those little precautions that people got to remember to take, man. This is just my
Yeah.
public service announcement before I hand it over to VP, man. That
I agree
COVID
with
is still a thing. You can still go out and have fun. Take the necessary precautions. Wash your fucking hands. If it looks sketchy, put the mask on. Like keep it. I kept it around my wrist. There was places we went that I didn't put it on. If we
you.
were outside and there wasn't a lot of people around, I kept, just kept it on my wrist. But when we walked somewhere that looked there was a lot of people or whatever, put it on just because you never know. You could be walking by somebody smoking a hookah, smoking a cigarette that's blowing out, vapors
Yeah.
come out in your face. Now you got COVID. And you're like, I didn't
Yep.
even go near anybody. Just, be smart, man. Don't drink out of the glasses. Even if it wasn't COVID. Like I saw a meme like last year, I think I sent it to you guys with people with some fucked up teeth. Like and that with the fork, like anybody who's eating out is eating off a fork that's been in the mouth like this.
Mm-hmm.
Man, since then it's like you gotta take those precautions, man. But
Yeah.
that's my soapbox moment, man. I'm gonna hand it off to VP. Before I do last thing again, I want to just again send everything out to those kids and their families in that community. You know, gosh, it's just so fucking sad, yo, so sad.
Yeah.
All right, VP, man, you can take us up out of here.
Hey, just piggybacking on what Steve said, best wishes, go to the families, and the family and communities of people impacted in Buffalo, as well as the families and the community that was impacted in Uvalde, Texas. Hopefully that these people can repair and recover, man. Want to thank everybody for joining us today who took time out of your Sunday morning to listen to the podcast, who listen live. We definitely appreciate you taking that time. For those who will listen when it's posted, we appreciate your time as well. Where you can find us, you can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms. Just search Castworthy. And you can also find us on any of our social media at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, leave us a like, leave us a comment, rate us on these podcasting apps. It'll help us reach more people. We definitely would appreciate that. And again, hopefully, you can enjoy your long Memorial Day weekend, recharge your batteries, spend some time with the family, etc. And like we've been saying the last, couple of months now at this point, tomorrow's not promised. You never know what's going to happen. So send that text message, make that phone call, reach out to somebody, let them know that you're thinking about them, you love them, you care about them, etc. Because we never know what's going to happen when you go to a school, when you go to a grocery store, a movie theater, whatever. You know what I mean? So, just don't to Steve's point earlier, no time like the present. So reach out to somebody and let them know that you're thinking about them. Again, appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us, give our thoughts on what's happening out there, and we hope that you'll join us on the next episode. We out. We love you. Peace.